Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you've just joined us, this is Yunus Kawanga on Call to Guidance, which happens every Thursday night on Salam Media Airways. So, we were speaking to Moulana Idris Milanzi, and we're moving on to another amazing scholar, I could say, in our midst, Moulana Zakariyya Preez, and he's also an imam in the Florida Masjid. And on this point, we'll be looking at giving dawah, first of all, starting from the household. As you know, the saying, the adage, it goes that charity begins at home. Let's welcome Maulana. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Maulana. Shukran jazilan for being with us today.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Brother Yunus, how are you? I do
Alhamdulillah, very
apologize.
well,
I have my heater here behind me.
Maulana. Alhamdulillah.
It's a bit cold here in South Africa, brother. Mzanzi
No, it
is
is.
not a happy place at the moment.
No, it's not because early on we were having a problem with the load shedding. Or just fighting myself and the operator here how to get everything in order. But Alhamdulillah, so far so good. We can't complain much. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Now,
Yes, Maulana,
Maulana,
you were saying that we
Afwan.
charity begins at home. You know, there's a verse in the Quran. Allah says, "وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ,"
Subhanallah.
and warn your close family relatives. Now, Allah doesn't say first, so it's not sweep your own doorstep first. It's sweep your own
Now,
doorstep. You know.
true. No, but that's actually a very, I could say, relevant ayah for this discussion that we are going to be having right now. In terms of giving da'wah, we understand most of the times, Molana, that speaking to those people who know you more or are closer to you is generally hardest, especially in our communities, with people who have seen you growing up, etc. Then the moment you turn and go into a path whereby you work as a dawah personnel or da'i or imam, etc., then it happens to be amongst, I could say, the hardest job to deal with the closest relatives, etc. So now, how can we maneuver that situation in, or how, I don't know how to rephrase my question in my head, or how do we actually speak to our close relatives about Islam, making sure that we're leaving nothing out, but at the same time keeping that connection with them at the same time, inshallah.
Okay, so brother Yunus, I was actually thinking about this earlier today, and it started when I was a non-Muslim, as when I was a Christian,
Mm.
growing up. You know, the moment somebody starts talking about religion, the whole conversation dies. Okay,
True,
let's just remember that the whole conversation dies the
true.
moment somebody starts talking about religion. Now, I'm sure you all experienced this, the listeners as well.
Mm.
Um, with siblings, for instance, there's like this unspoken law or unspoken truce that we can swear and we can say the rudest things and we can, in Afrikaans say gaan te kere, but we won't tell parents about it. We will keep it on the down low. It's a private thing. It's just between us, like, the inner circle kind of a vibe,
Right.
right? But why is it so easy for us to do that when it comes to doing wrong? But when it
Mm.
comes to doing the right thing, it's so hard, you know? Why is it that we can't speak about deen? We can't speak about
Mm.
religion. We can't, remind. And then people have this thing. I remember when I was in high school, I happened to be a prefect as well. Now you tell someone, bro, take your hands out your pockets because you look sloppy. Why are you telling me? Why don't you tell everybody else? Bro, I happen to see you first. That's why I'm telling you. It's not that everybody else is exempted. It's just, or that I'm picking on you.
Right. Right.
So our first problem is that we need to start normalizing speaking about religion. Like
Hmm.
the moment somebody starts talking about teen, or we're at a family function and somebody says, guys, it's time for salah, then everyone's like, since when are you Hassan Basri, brother? You know what I'm saying? And the worst one, brother, I'm sure you may have heard this. Are you trying to be pious?
Yeah.
So, brothers and
Yeah.
sisters in Islam, what if I say, yes, I am trying to be pious? And how about this happens to be the purpose of our existence? We're supposed to try to be pious. You know what I'm saying?
Subhanallah.
That's what we're meant to be. Allah
Right.
subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be pious people. And what does pious actually mean? Like, if I'm expected, I'll give you a simple example. You get married, right? Now, telling my congregation on Eid day that like growing your beard is the easiest thing under the sun. You literally
Right.
have to do nothing. You just leave
Exactly.
it. You don't have to apply anything daily. You're shaping it and making it look neat and tidy might be difficult, right? But
Right.
actually growing your beard, how hard is it, brother? It's like, how hard is it to grow your hair? You really don't have to do anything, you
Right.
know? So, when it comes to trying to be bro, that's why Allah's created us. We're supposed to try to make that effort. And if, like I said, with a beard, for instance, if you get married to a woman and she insists that you have to grow your beard and now you start getting upset, like, you know what? It's not, she didn't ask you to grow your beard first. You're
Exactly.
expected in the first place. You know, understand what I'm saying? It's like, you can't
Right.
be upset that my wife is pressurizing me, or she wants me to be more pious and whatever. And brother, you're expected to in any case. It's like a man asks his wife to cover her hair and put a scarf on in public. I'm not going to go into the whole debate about the parda and everything. Let's leave that debate for another day, inshallah. But at least everybody agrees that the
The hijab.
scarf, only your
Mm.
face can be open, the hijab as we refer to it, right?
Aywa.
Whereas the definition of a hijab is very, very different from a scarf, by the way.
That's
So, different discussion for another day, Molana. Like,
semantics.
so if I expect my wife to wear a scarf in public, oh, no, you're pressurizing me. Your deen isn't different. I'm not asking you to do anything more than what you already expected to do. So, back to normalizing, talking about deen and creating the environment. Never be the one to, when somebody does bring up a religious topic, don't ever be the one to put the man down. Or somebody decides, you know what, I'm going to start, making a bit more of an effort on my deen. Then,
Mm.
oh, don't forget, we know you from before. But that's not the thing to say, we know you from before. What you're
Mm.
supposed to say is, MashaAllah, brother, may Allah give you istiqamah. May Allah bless you with
100%.
steadfastness. Do you understand? So, like I said,
No.
our first step, Moulana Yunus, our first step is to normalize religiosity, if you want to call it that, right? Start
Right.
normalizing actually being a Muslim. That's first step.
Right. So, subhanAllah, Molana, what you mentioned at the moment, that's in par with what we were talking about before with the other Molana Idris, in terms of being confident about your Islamicness or about your Islam. Because normally it happens that the most of the people that we are having a problem in speaking about religion with are those who actually don't, one might not understand the means of being a Muslim, or those who are still going through that whole identity crisis, whereby they really don't know who they are. And Molana can also attest to the point that nowadays it's even more harder because we're not just facing people having identity crisis in terms of religion, but also in terms of gender and other points, etc., etc. So in there, I think that's a very beautiful point that Molana touched on. It just I could say reiterated what we were talking about earlier on. And another point also in terms of when Molana said we are required to be pious. I mean, most of the ayats in the Quran at the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does say that لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, that in order for you to be pious, in order for you to have that consciousness of Allah. So if that's not the order of the moment, then what is?
No, exactly, exactly, Malana. It's sad to say that, like I explained in my example before, like, don't forget we know you from before. And you also
Mm,
mentioned that, the moment somebody starts making a positive change towards righteousness, you're always going to get flack from the people who know you from before. Obviously,
true,
you understand what I'm saying?
100%.
But never let that deter you. At the end of the day, like I always say, nobody's gonna regret on the day of Qiyamah that they made a positive change in their life,
Mm,
firstly. And secondly, that change is not for other people. That change is for
yourself,
yourself, right? So
100%.
if I mean, you should never become pious so that, or when I say become pious, I mean, it's like never start practicing your deen diligently, um, in order to win the praise or the favor of other people, or in order to impress other people, or in order, even if it is to show other people that it can be done. Brother and sister in Islam, do it for yourself, because at the end of the day, regardless of what those people think of you, you're going to have to explain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for yourself on the day of Qiyamah. Now imagine, there's a very interesting story. Pious person was sitting in the Quran reading, sitting in the masjid reading Quran, and he has a dream that night that he's busy counting his good deeds. He's
Mm.
doing what's it, the financial statements, shall I say, like, calculating and drawing up all the, okay, so many reward for this good deed, so much reward for that good deed. And he starts counting, and he gets to the Quran that he had been reading that day. And he saw that he got reward up to a point, then no reward, then reward again up to a point. So he asked, but what happened here? So he was
Mm.
told in his dream, no, you read Quran for Allah's pleasure, and then somebody walked past the masjid. So you raised your voice a little so he could also hear.
Mm.
And then when he passed, and you dropped your volume down again, because now you were only reading for Allah again. So we sent that reward to the person you were reading for. Now think about that happening to you on the day of Qiyamah. You make all the sacrifice and all the effort. You're at the masjid day in, day out. You are, you know, making sure you do everything above the book, by the book above board. Everything is halal. You stay away from doubtful, but also that other people can say, MashaAllah. You know,
Mm.
like the hadith,
Subhanallah.
Moulana Yunus, I'm sure you'll remember, on the day of Qiyamah, three people will be brought in front of Allah first.
Mm.
Number one was an alim of deen, number two, a mujahid, and number three, a generous person.
Subhanallah.
And whether it was the generous person who gave the money, or it was the alim who spent his life teaching deen, or it was the mujahid who died in the path of Allah,
Mm.
um, Allah questions each and every one of them on the day of Qiyamah with regards to their action. And all of them say, oh no, I taught the deen for your pleasure. I gave the charity for your pleasure. I laid my life down for your pleasure. And Allah says to them, you lying. You're
Mm.
lying. You taught the deen so people can say he's such a big alim. They said it now. You got your
Subhanallah.
reward. You laid your life down so people can say, see, he fought in jihad. He's such a brave man. They've said it now. So there's your
Mm.
reward. The other man spent all that money. I mean, think about it. You're hard earned. You work so hard for your money. You go and spend it in the path of Allah, but so that other people can say, MashaAllah. So your investment is squandered, right? So, and Allah will say to him, you didn't spend it for me. You spent it so other people could say, MashaAllah, look at how generous that man is. Well, they've said it now. There's your reward. Now, same thing with us, you know, and the previous discussion as well. We need to, well, step number two, stop being embarrassed about being a good Muslim. Do you
True.
understand what I'm saying?
True.
You're never, Wallah al-Azim, no one is going to stand in front of Allah and say, should have just shaven my beard. You know what I'm saying? Those jeans,
Yeah.
I should have just worn my jeans. I should have just gone to that party. Like, I mean, I could have had a side chick if I wanted to, you know what I'm saying? But
No.
no one is going to regret on the day of Qiyamah, brother and sister in Islam. Listen to what I'm saying. That they listened to Allah and they obeyed Allah. They'd worked their life to please Allah. No one is going to feel any slightest remorse at all. So from day one, from the get-go, step number two, don't feel embarrassed to say, no, I'm sorry, I'm a Muslim, or I'm doing this because I'm a Muslim. And if other people say derogatory things, or yeah, don't forget, we know you from before and whatever, no problem. You knew me. You
Mm.
knew me.
True.
You knew,
That's
it's
the
not me,
old
you
me.
knew, or you knew a version of me. That was the old me. Now there's a new me. You
Mm.
understand? Don't ever
100%.
feel embarrassed about being or trying, because that's the objective, isn't it?
It is. Subhanallah. Now, Molarino, as you're speaking, it's just touching a nerve because I mean we've all been through this situation one way or another, in terms of either your friends at school whom you were with, and after some years they met you again. They're like, "Oh, Subhanallah, look at you! You are now religious," you know. And other people might be also the family members at home. Uh, for some of us who actually were born in Muslim families, alhamdulillah. But the problem is that you have some of those, those uncles who are not so much on deen, as per se. And when you try to speak to them about deen again, it becomes like, okay, now you are busy preaching to us. What is this? So it always somewhere somehow we all go through the same concept, especially if you're a person who's seeking to be a better version of yourself. Now, what is our third step, Molana, on this point now on dealing with those close family members?
So this is actually, you mentioned it in your question to me, Malana, that you want to kind of give the message, but you don't want a conflict. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Mm, mm,
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a very strong, a powerful gift. And I think many of us forget this. And our Ustad of Bukhari, Moulana Shabir Salaji, the principal of Darul Uloom Zakariyya, said this to us. I'm going to say this in Urdu just so that everyone can say that Qasam in my life I saw a Buddha guy speaking Urdu. कि इस दिन को जितना नुकसान बदनीयती से हो रहा है उतना नुकसान बेनियती से नहीं हो रहा है. Say that again, right? इस दिन को जितना नुकसान बदनीयती से हो रहा है बेनियती से उतना नुकसान नहीं हो रहा है. Right? I hope I'm saying it correct as well. That the amount of harm that accrues to the deen because we make bad intentions no way equates to the harm that accrues to the deen because we make no intention. Do you understand? We have to live on purpose, and the effect of our actions are amplified tremendously based on the intention that we make. I'll give you this example. How many of us leave the home with the express intention that people are going to see me and they're going to see a Muslim and I would like them to be drawn and attracted to Islam? How many of us leave the home with that intention? So that intention amplifies our deeds. We are now walking with a purpose. We are speaking with a purpose. We're not living by accident. Right? I have a friend, Siraj Suhan from Cape Town, who says this. Ons lewe per ongeluk. We must live aspres. We must live like on purpose. You know what I'm saying? You must live deliberately. So when it comes to those family members in our home and in our family circle, and now, for instance, we're at a family function, it's a braai or somebody's something, and we're having a meal together, and it's time for salah, and you get up, and where are you going? Now I'm going to the masjid for salah, or I'm going to read my salah. Then, oh, here I can for Junaid Baghdadi. Okay, well, alhamdulillah, I'm trying to be Junaid Baghdadi, mashallah. Brother and sister in Islam, you get up, and please excuse me, would any one of you like to join me for salah? Anybody, can we make jama'ah just now? Or would you like to join me for salah? Or you got to give the adhan loudly with the intention that people are going to hear the adhan and then they're going to be like, hey guys, it's time for salah. You don't have to have an argument. You don't have to engage with them. And how about uncle? It's not like that. And I don't know, brother Yunus, Malume, don't be like that. No, just get up, go give the adhan. Or, Assalamu alaikum, I'm going for salah. Anybody want to join? I got space for 3 more. Nobody? Okay, Assalamu alaikum. And you jump in your car and you go. Brother, how long are your family members going to hear you say, brother, I've got space for 3 more. Anybody wants to join for salah? How long are they going to hear you say that and keep saying no? You understand? At the end of the day, we're all believers, right? So at some point in time, it's going to prick them and they're going to be like, you know what, let me just go with. Let me just go with. And this is why the Jama'ah effort, the Tabligh brothers, are so effective. Because it's like a drop of water, you know. If you're gonna you've got a stone under a tap, and you open a tap and you drop 15 kiloliters of water on the stone in one day and close the tap, but nothing's gonna happen besides that stone is gonna get squeaky clean. Okay. But you open a drop and let a drop fall on that tap, that same 15 kiloliters of water dropping on that same spot, one little drop at a time, eventually it's going to make a dent. That will make some kind of a dent instead of just cleaning the stone. So there's a very interesting story of a rugby player, I believe in New Zealand, that the Jamaat brothers kept coming to his house and knocking on his door. They kept coming. Every time it was gushed, knock on his door. Assalamu alaikum, brother, from the masjid, we came to speak to you. I'm not interested, slam the door. Again, and they kept going back over and over and over, and eventually he was like, oh my God, let me just go to the masjid so they can leave me alone. And off he went to the masjid, and then he heard the lecture and he was like, okay, well, let me just go for the 3 days so I can say, Kasam, I went for 3 days and they can stop asking me. Brother, he came back a changed man after 3 days.
Allahu Akbar.
He came back a changed man after those 3 days. But how did it start? At some point, a believer's heart is going to prick him and say, you know what, let me just go. You know? So you don't have to see. The thing is, the moment you become confrontational with you don't tell me I'm who's supposed to grab beers anyway, you're doing a haram, you got burning Jahannam. The moment you start engaging like that, you throw away that opportunity to draw the person towards what you're doing. You want to call, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we must call in a beautiful way. Do you understand? We must call people in a beautiful way. right?
Mm.
And bil hikmah, with wisdom, wal maw'idat al hasana, and and good advice. You know, a
Mm.
maw'idah means like a warning
Admonishment
or an
somehow.
admonition. You know,
Mm.
so why you why are you doing this now? Suddenly you want to read your salah, then uncle, bro, I need to get to Jannah somehow, and you're gonna read your salah. You've left a message with him. You've left a message with him. How long are your family members gonna see you stand up and assalamu alaikum guys, I'm going to the masjid, and not? How long are they gonna watch you before they start joining you? They're gonna have to at
Mm.
some point, even if you read
True.
at home. You know, even if you read at home. But I'll give you another example. Brothers who are struggling to convince their wives to wear scarves, right? I hope the ladies aren't hearing this, because then when I give the advice, Moulana Yunus, then that you heard Moulana Zakariyya say this, that's why you're telling me. You know, if you praise somebody that you look so good, MashaAllah, with that beard, you look so beautiful. MashaAllah, you know, your kurta, you look so beautiful. Tell the woman, you know, you look so beautiful with your scarf on. Or you know what? I find you most attractive when I see you reading Salah. I know it's terrible. You shouldn't be staring at your wife reading Salah. It's different. You know, I'm just trying to impart the message here. So words of encouragement. You know, it makes me so happy when I see you reading Salah. Come, let's make some dhikr together. Let's make dua together. I'll make dua and you say Ameen. You make dua, I'll say Ameen. Sahaba used to do this kind of a thing. It's beautiful and it's an encouragement. So now every time your wife says to you, oh, you know, you look so nice with your beard, Block, are you going to stop? Are you going to carry
No,
on
you're
shaving your
gonna
beard?
go
Or the upper sparks the beard, brother? Are you going to start doing something about
go
it?
with more.
Allah give us tawfiq and understanding.
I mean,
So step number 3, Moulana Yunus, is to instead of instead of engaging verbally necessarily with
mm.
people who are showing a little bit of confrontational, you know, tendencies, just with a smile on your face, go and do the deed, do what you're expected to do, and invite them to participate with you. That would already be, if you as a man, you've got a sister or you've got a cousin or you've got someone who's not wearing a scarf or they don't wear Islamic clothes, send them a gift of a cloak, send them a gift of a scarf, send them a hadiyah with this thing in, send them a religious book. And oh, I saw this book and I thought of you. Or just send the book. Don't say, oh, and I read a book about, you know, Talbisa Iblis, the
Subhan,
guises of
the
Shaitan.
deception of
I saw this book and I thought of you. Ah, you think I'm Shaitan now? That's not what I'm trying to say. But you know, people will automatically just like think the worst of you. So do things like this that encourage them, and with with a smile on your face. But like I was saying, living deliberately, and that Urdu quote that I was saying,
before
बेनियति
it.
से जितना नुकसान हो रहा है बदनीयति से नहीं हो रहा है, more harm accrues to us by not making an intention than by
Mm.
making a wrong intention. So let us make
Subhanallah.
an intention. Let us live with an intention. Do these things with the intention that people must be drawn to Islam, and you will see. You will see it has that effect. It has to have the effect.
It will most definitely. With we all know that obviously with good intention comes good results at the end, and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala also takes into account the intention that we make before the action that we end up partaking in. Maulana Jazakallah khaira, it has been a very I could say delightful to sit and listen to you, because we could actually sit and listen to you the whole evening, but the time is actually not on our side. But Jazakumullah khaira, Maulana, for this, and this is actually
Amen.
what we needed at this time, where I believe that, we are in a time of confusion. People are confused, left, right, and center. Some don't even know what they are, if they are going or coming, or whatever is happening around the world. But this is what we need, to stay true to ourselves and true to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and always knowing that we should live for purpose, and in that inshallah would get the rewards for it, and whatever we do also should be coupled with that sense of meaning, intention, and at the end of the day it will be meaningful inshallah. Jazakumullah khaira,
Amen.
and
Amen. Ya
hope
Rabbi.
to have a chat with you again inshallah in the near future.
Inshallah.
Shukran jazilan
Inshallah.
Maulana.
Shukran, Maulana. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Maulana. Alhamdulillah, there was Moulana Zakariyya Preez all the way from Florida here in Joburg. SubhanAllah, giving us a three-step of trying to remind ourselves and those in our households about deen, a beautiful deen of Islam. It is always those who are closest to us who are the hardest to speak to or hardest to remind when it comes to anything that has to do with deen. Another concept that came into my mind is when normally when you're looking at the ayats that speak about giving sadaqah, you get more rewards on spending on your closest relatives, Zawil Qurba, etc. Because they are the people whereby if you do something for them, remember, they don't really say Jazakallah. They expect it from you. So it becomes hard for a person to spend on them because you think, ah, if I buy him a phone or my brother a phone or whatever, he won't even say Jazakallah the way I want it to be. He won't even say with the proper tajweed. But if I give it to someone I don't know on the street, then they'll give me that Jazakallah 1,000 times. So it's all about intention, like Maulana mentioned before. We should have the clear intention. So a deed which is always connected with good intention is way thousand a million times way better than a deed that we just do out of convenience sake. Uh, our time is up, and inshallah, next week we'll carry on with our program and have more speakers to join us. And one of the weeks, inshallah, what we would love to do is have what we call a Dawah workshop online with Brother Imran Khan. Inshallah, we'll just confirm where when we'll do that properly, inshallah, because it will take time. Dawah is not a thing that you can just sit and have a 2 minute what you call a crash course on. You really need to know how to go into it. But we always resound back to the beautiful ayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Udu ila rabbika bil hikmah. Call to your Lord with wisdom, or al hasana, or in with good way of admonishing. So if someone's doing something bad, you don't tell them to go off or where to get off. You tell them properly, advise them well, so that the people's hearts can be pulled closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rather than being thrown away. This is Yunus Kawanga once again on a beautiful Thursday evening. Remember to read the Surah Kaf and your Durud, inshallah, and have a beautiful Jummah tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. Until we meet again. والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.